Please can I welcome on stage the Chief Digital Officer of the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, who's actually going to share today the exciting developments taking place here in Malaysia around 5G innovation. Gerard Lim.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Nick, for inviting me here to do this particular presentation. It's indeed a great privilege and honor for me. I've known Nick as well as TM Forum for some years now. In fact, I was involved in a Catalyst project in 2014, so some years ago. Right, today, I stand before you as the Chief Digital Officer of MCMC, and I welcome you here to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur. And what I'd like to start off with today is to frame in terms of how Malaysia sees itself moving into 5G. We see ourselves with this particular theme called Progressing Humanity, right? Because what good is technology if it doesn't help people and it doesn't bring together humanity forward, right? And no amount of technology will be beneficial to us if it's just purely technological in nature. So we need to ensure that what we bring is relevant to bring progress to people everywhere. Now, I'm going to just put some numbers together in context, and just very quickly, the next 4 slides. Right? As all of us know, ever too well in terms of some of these numbers. Right? In terms of the ever-growing population of the world and urbanization. In fact, in Malaysia, one important stat I'd like to share with you is the global average for urbanization is about 68%, right, as forecasted by year 2050. In Malaysia, we've already passed that global average, right? And in fact, it will progress to about close to 80% or 78% to be more precise. And this is the world that we live in today. There's all kinds of pollution, air, water, noise. So to share with you in terms of the air pollution, right, and where we stand. 92% of the world's population lives in places where poor air quality levels exceed those of World Health Organization. Now, some of you may be wondering by now, why am I showing all of these? What relevance does it have to the world of 5G, right? Just bear with me, right? So with food security, right, I'm sure all of us are also aware that the demand for food, right, is expected to rise by 35%, right, by 2050. And that's, certainly alarming because we've got billions of mouths to feed, and it's expected to rise even more, right, over the next decade or two as the world's population increases. And of course, we speak about climate change and overdevelopment. And here, in many parts of Asia, we have sprawling cities. And as some of you may already be aware, even in Malaysia, last week we've had some landslides over in our highlands, Genting Highlands to be specific. And this is just an indicator, right, of where progress has actually brought damage to the environment. Now again, some of you may be asking, how might we use technology to solve the world's problems? And in Malaysia, as described by our minister, YB Gobind Singh, and he says that access to the internet, right, is not a privilege anymore, it's not a luxury, but it's a necessity and a survival tool. So if you put into context how the internet today, or when this was said in October 2018, almost 13 months ago, is about how we could use internet and technology to actually then provide it as a basic survival tool to then look into how we could actually use the internet and technology to improve our world going forward. And in Malaysia, right, in terms of the internet, there's certainly a lot of room to improve. And that's why the government has just set out a program called the National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan, or NFCP. And the government, then the NFCP will be spending over 21.6 billion ringgit, half of it will be funded through the government by way of the USP fund, and the other half, right, about 10 billion to 11 billion ringgit, will be funded by the industry. That's a lot of money. And the idea around the NFCP is to basically provide a much more robust, pervasive, that means it will be everywhere, and of course high quality, but more importantly, it needs to be affordable. And that's connectivity across the whole country, both in Peninsular Malaysia as well as, very importantly, in Sabah and Sarawak. And why is this important? Because it goes back to what the minister had said, that the internet needs to be a basic necessity for all people here in Malaysia. So there is this particular program that we have started that will start this year for the next 5 years. So the NFCP is a 5-year program, and we will be looking at investing 21.6 billion ringgit to put this digital connectivity across the whole country. Right? That's how important we see the internet is to progress the world, to progress Malaysia forward. Then comes 5G. So what's different in Malaysia, I mean, Malaysia always likes to be different, right, is that in many countries, 5G is it. 5G is at the top of our digital connectivity agenda. But in Malaysia, NFCP sits at the very top. So NFCP sits as the overarching program, and 5G is a component of the NFCP, right? So let me repeat that. 5G is part of the NFCP, because that connectivity of the C in NFCP is where 5G can provide connectivity using wireless means, right? But in order to get 5G, or really to get a 5G experience, we need fiberization, right? I don't think we'll be able to have a 5G experience without proper connectivity through fiberization. So that is why the entire NFCP is important to ensure that 5G experience happens. And in Malaysia, and I would like to really echo what Nick had said earlier, in Malaysia, 5G is not just about a faster smartphone experience. Now, without a doubt, we will get a faster smartphone experience. It goes without saying. But for Malaysia, 5G is about transforming industries, not just the telecommunications industry, although we do want to see that the telecommunications industry itself is transformed because of 5G, but 5G will also transform other vertical industries. For example, in the area of entertainment and media, in the area of the manufacturing industries, smart cities. Many of the pain points that are highlighted in the earlier first slides at the beginning were all related to smart cities, right? And transportation industry. How about agriculture? How might 5G help to empower and improve agriculture and transform the agriculture industry with concepts like big data, artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on. Then we've got healthcare, and there are other industries. In fact, there are 9 verticals in total, including oil and gas, which is obviously very important in Malaysia, tourism industry, right, which is also a huge service sector here in Malaysia. So to give you a glimpse of what I mean by transforming vertical industries, let's take a quick look at the following video.
Malaysia has achieved many milestones. We laid the foundation envisioning a developed nation. Today, a new dawn is upon us. 5G. It is beyond technology. It's a giant leap for humanity. Bringing people closer, bridging places and spaces. How does 5G bring Malaysians progress? Think of high-speed connections, previously unimaginable. We will be able to create more memories with our loved ones, near and far. From being entertained at home to doing business on the move. Even in big crowds, you can still share crystal clear moments on a strong, stable connection. With great speed comes great reliability. 5G transmits data with very low latency, keeping everyone in sync. Doctors can perform complex surgeries off-site using robots with minimal lag. For students and teachers, classrooms become discovery centers. where everyone can play their part. At home, you are transported to any place you wish for an immersive learning experience. Opportunities for connections abound, no matter where you live. Fishermen can view real-time sea conditions to maximize their catch efficiently. Less time at sea, more time to bond with the family. On the streets, self-driving cars are attuned to the surroundings, including other road users, preventing accidents within a split second. We will welcome a new industrial revolution where everything moves in unity, reaping a plentiful harvest as farmers adopt intelligent farming methods. Precious lives can be saved when first responders can see beyond walls and smoke. In short, there is no challenge too big, no vision too far. Any dream can be achieved. 5G in Malaysia, progressing humanity.
Great. So how do we get ourselves there in getting ourselves to be 5G ready? Right? The journey for 5G in Malaysia started since last year. There's a national 5G task force in Malaysia that started in November 2018. Then in April of this year, 2019, on the 18th of April to be exact, we had a 5G Malaysia showcase that was actually launched and officiated by Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir. And what we've had in just recent weeks is the start of our 5G demonstration projects. So we started off by having a national task force late last year. April, we had a quick showcase that was over 3 days, just to give a glimpse. We had, in fact, 10,000 people visiting us. It was overwhelming response, including from the general public. And now we're bringing the showcase, if you like, across the country in the form of a 6-month demonstration project. It starts in October until March of next year. And these demonstration projects, the 116 million ringgit, are investments from industry players themselves. And this cuts across 9 verticals that I had described earlier. It generates 55 use cases, over 32 live 5G sites. And most of these 5G sites are live today in areas around Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, all the way out into the island of Langkawi in Kedah. So if you happen to be in Langkawi, maybe after this forum is over, after this conference, you want to go and take a quick holiday in Malaysia, I welcome you to take a look at, but you can't really experience it, but feel it. But there are some use cases that are meant to be able for us to demonstrate how 5G is applied within various different industry verticals. And this cuts across 6 states. So that's Kedah, that's Penang, that's Selangor, Perak. There's also an oil and gas use case, very interesting, by Petronas. That's happening in the state of Terengganu. And last not forget is Kuala Lumpur here itself. Coming to my last slide, I just want to highlight that what we need to do is solutions for people. The 4, these are not obviously comprehensive, but if we look at areas like 5G and future networks, right, in terms of NFV, how do we virtualize concepts of our networks today, right? And last week I was in Japan and I saw firsthand the virtualization of some of the 5G networks in that particular country. And then how we take big data, and I completely agree with comments made earlier by Nick, in terms of how we could actually derive intelligence and wonderful insights from this data with the use of AI and machine learning. How we can support technologies like AI and VR, and as well as digital ID here in Malaysia. But these are just the building blocks. And I always say that technology are just the enablers. What we need are really also the drivers. How do we develop future skills? How do we drive adoption? And I'm totally around collaboration and partnerships. The new world of 5G cannot be built by one single company alone, or even by 2 or 3 companies. It needs the entire industry to come together, and by extension also to build the digital ecosystem to be able to support and provide value into the digital connectivity. And not to forget, last but not least, how do we energize all that using enriched business models? So in final conclusion, how do we summarize all that and bring progress to humanity? Thank you very much.